Good afternoon. Today I'm excited to talk to you about one of the most legendary explorers in human history, Ferdinand Magellan. Now, you've probably heard of his name in a history book, or maybe even on a map, thanks to the Strait of Magellan. But his story is not just about sailing across oceans or discovering new lands. It's a story of bold ambition, betrayal, storms, war, and ultimately his legacy. Ferdinand Magellan was born in 1480 in Sabrosa, a small town in northern Portugal. He came from a noble family, which meant he had access to high education and many opportunities. As a boy, he served as a page at the Portuguese royal court, where he likely heard tales of the exciting discoveries happening during the Age of Exploration. Ferdinand Magellan is known as a very popular Portuguese explorer. He is famous for leading the first expedition to circumnavigate the globe, sailing both under the Portuguese and Spanish flags. Portugal at the time was obsessed with finding sea routes to the riches of the East, especially spices. Spices were incredibly valuable in Europe, not just for flavoring food, but also for preserving it and even as medicine. In many cases, these spices were worth more than gold. By his 20s, Magellan had joined the Portuguese fleet and was sailing to places like India, Malacca, and the East African coast. He gained experience, rose through the ranks, and earned a reputation for being both brave and skilled. But things didn't stay quite as good. Despite all of his accomplishments, Magellan fell out of favor with the Portuguese king. Why? Some say it was because of disagreements about his request for recognition and rewards. Others think he just rubbed people the wrong way. Either way, he made a bold decision. He left his homeland and offered his services to Portugal's biggest rival, Spain. At that time, Spain and Portugal were in a race. Both countries wanted control over the spice trade. The Treaty of Tordesillas had divided the world between them, giving Portugal the route along Africa and Spain, whatever they could find going west. Magellan had a wild idea. What if there was a way to reach the Spice Islands by sailing west, not east? And so, in 1519, the Spanish crown gave him the green light to try. On September 2nd, 1519, Magellan set sail from Seville, Spain, with a fleet of 5 ships: the Trinidad, the San Antonio, the Concepcion, the Victoria, and the Santiago. Their mission? To find a western route to the Spice Islands, what we now call the Maluku Islands in Indonesia. Around 270 men were on board total, hailing from all over Europe. Almost immediately, the voyage ran into problems: storms, dangerous seas, and conflicts among the crew. Some of the sailors didn't trust Magellan, partly because he was Portuguese and they were Spanish. Magellan faced challenges very quickly on his own fleet. When the fleet reached South America, they spent the winter in what is now Argentina. There, tensions boiled over. Several officers led a mutiny against Magellan. This is where you're really able to see Magellan's character. Magellan didn't just suppress the mutiny, he made an example of the ringleaders. One was executed, and one was left behind. And for the rest of them, they fell in line very quickly afterwards. But the challenges weren't over. One of the ships, the Santiago, was lost in a storm while scouting, and the crew was nowhere near the Spice Islands. Eventually, in October 1520, they found a narrow passage at the southern tip of South America. This treacherous waterway, now known as the Strait of Magellan, took over a month to navigate, but when they emerged on the other side, they found calm waters. Magellan named the Pacific Ocean Mar Pacifico, meaning peaceful sea. But little did he know the Pacific would not be so peaceful. Magellan and his fleet sailed across the Pacific for 3 grueling months. They had no idea how vast it was. Supplies ran really low. Rats became a delicacy, as leather was boiled for food. Many died of scurvy and starvation. But somehow, they kept going. In March 1521, they finally reached the Philippine Islands, and the crew was overjoyed to find food and fresh water. It seemed their luck was turning, but Magellan was about to make a fatal mistake. While in the Philippines, Magellan formed alliances with some local rulers. He converted many to Christianity, including a chief named Raja Humabon. Magellan believed he could not only be an explorer, but a missionary and even a protector of his new converts. He decided to attack a local leader who refused to submit, Lapu-Lapu, the chief of Mactan Island. On April 27th, 1521, Magellan and a small force went ashore. But little did they know, the local warriors were ready. Magellan was struck by a bamboo spear, then overwhelmed. He died on the beach, never completing the journey he had started. Magellan's death could have ended the voyage, but his remaining men pushed on. Only 3 ships remained. They eventually reached the Spice Islands, loaded up with valuable cloves, and prepared to return home. One of the ships, the Victoria, commanded by Juan Sebastian Elonco, sailed west across the Indian Ocean around the Cape of Good Hope, and finally returned to Spain in September 1522, 3 years after they first set sail. Only 18 men returned. Out of nearly 270, only 18. Although Magellan himself didn't survive the journey, his expedition achieved what no one had done before. It circumnavigated the Earth. It proved something that many suspected, but few had confirmed. The world was round, and much bigger than anyone had imagined. And while Magellan didn't make it all the way, it was his vision, leadership, and his daring lifestyle that made the journey possible. So what did Magellan leave behind? He gave us, first of all, the Strait of Magellan, still a key navigational route today, as well as the name of the Pacific Ocean. He expanded European understanding of the world, paving the way for future trade and colonization. And his voyage was the first to show the true scale of the planet and the interconnectedness of the oceans. He is remembered today as one of the greatest navigators in history, not because he was perfect, but because he dared to go where no one else had. Before I wrap up, here are a few fun facts. The Victoria, the only ship to complete the journey, traveled over 42,000 miles total. The voyage took almost exactly 3 years, starting in October and ending in September. During the Pacific crossing, they didn't see land for over 90 days, which is partially why they were running so low on food. And Lapu-Lapu, the chief who killed Magellan, he is considered a national hero in the Philippines. Ferdinand Magellan didn't live to see the full impact of his voyage, but he proved something timeless: that human curiosity, courage, and determination could take us farther than we ever imagined. So the next time you look at a globe, think of the small fleet of ships that set off in 1519 and the man who dreamed of circling the world. Thank you.